Gemara Masechet Brachot says a few things about modesty, immodesty, arayot. Arayot means sex crimes, not sex crimes that are just necessarily crimes of the government, like rape and things of that nature. Sex crimes meaning that illicit sexual behavior. That could be something like being intimate with a woman without being married, being intimate with your own wife without her going to the mikveh, being intimate with a relative, a sister, a mother, a father, something like that. All types of is arayot. There's, I believe, 18 different ones, 18 or 19 different sexual crimes, and one of them is also homosexuality. All of these sex crimes, or gilui arayot they call it in Hebrew, are punishable by death. It's the worst punishment. So now, there are certain things where the Gemara says there's something that's black and white, and it gives you a verse in the Torah. It says this is not allowed. For example, everyone agrees that son is not allowed to be with the brother is not allowed to be with his sister. Father is not allowed to be with his daughter. One man is not allowed to be with another man. One woman is not allowed to be with another woman. Everybody agrees to that. But then the Torah tells us that you're also supposed to put a fence around the fence. Meaning, the sin itself is so horrible that you have to make sure that you don't even put yourself in a scenario where you even get close to that sin. So, the Gemara that talks about the different aspects of the sin says that a man should never even look at the hands of a woman that's not his wife. So, for example, he shouldn't do business in a way where, let's say, for example, he's giving her change. She came to a store, she's buying something, and he's giving her change, but he's doing it especially slowly because he likes the way her hands look. He's enjoying the way her hands look, not because it's taking him time to count, but rather because he's putting 1, 2, but he's enjoying the way her hands look. So the Gemara in Masechet Brachot says, there's no way that such a person will avoid Gehenom. He has to go to Gehenom for that. So now the Rambam says that alone by itself is a sin. Because he's enjoying the beauty of someone that's not his wife. The Ramban says, no. It's not that this itself is a sin. It's that if he already behaves this way, then for sure he's going to end up doing something that is the sin, which is wasting seed. Or perhaps even being with this woman that's not his wife. So it's not necessarily that they're so wide apart. It's just a matter of how far is the fence from the original fence. One says this itself already is a sin. The other one says, no, this will for sure lead to sin. Meaning, the Gemara means he's not going to avoid Gehenom. Not that he's going to go to Gehenom for this, but rather he's going to go to Gehenom for what he does after this. For sure, if he's already enjoying the way her hands look, then for sure he's going to look at other things and who knows what else. So the Rambam lived before the Ramban, one generation. And when he died, I believe that the Ramban, Nachmanides, I believe was 10 years old or 5 years old, something like that. And he the Ramban defended the work of the Rambam against different people that were trying to go against his work. He defended his work, so obviously he held him to very high praise. But even when two Chachamim hold each other very highly, it doesn't necessarily mean that they agree with everything. Like, for example, there are very, very famous machlokets between the Ben Ish Chai and Rav Ovadia. Rav Ovadia lived the generation after the Ben Ish Chai. And when he first came in, and he started saying, Ben Ish Chai, Kodesh Kodeshim, but there are certain things that he said that I found a different emet. Meaning, it's true from his perspective, but there are certain factors perhaps he didn't consider, and I consider, if you consider these other aspects, then you arrive at a different truth. Technically, they're both right. It's not necessarily always black and white, where he's right and he's wrong, or he's wrong and he's right. Sometimes they're both right. Zeh v'zeh divrei Elokim chaim. This and this are both the words of the living God. But the problem is that when Rav Ovadia was saying this, he was still very young and wasn't accepted by the community yet. So literally, some of the Talmidim of the Ben Ish Chai wanted to stone him to death. Wanted to kill him in the middle of the street. Because how could you go against him, put this person on cherem? But then they discovered how much of a Talmid Chacham he was, and also how much he valued the work of the Ben Ish Chai, where he literally learned it more in depth than anybody else in the generation and understood it better than his own Talmidim. So obviously, if you're going to dedicate so much of your life to understand this Chacham, your opinion is going to be, it's not going to be something that you're trying to, outplay him or something like that. You're just going for the truth. Same concept with all the Chachamim. You're going to see sometimes major Chachamim that were Chavruta. Rav Ovadia and Rav Tzion Abba Shaul. They were Chavruta. They learned together their whole life. But many places they disagree. But they respect each other's opinion. And in many cases, you're going to see that they have certain people follow him and certain people follow him. Now, generally speaking, more people ended up following Rav Ovadia. But needless to say, the Rav Tzion Abba Shaul was also one of the Gdolei Ador. And still, any time that Rav Ovadia would say something, he would quote the Rav Tzion Abba Shaul. He would say he has this opinion, but I believe that this one is right versus his opinion. Or sometimes he can say, this is what I arrived. This is what I agree with. But you could still hold by his opinion also. He's also right. Even though it's a different opinion, he arrived at this truth, this strategy. He arrived at the truth, this strategy. Meaning, let's say you and I both want to go to the same destination. You're going to go through this I-95, and I'm going to go through the turnpike. Both of us are trying to arrive at the same destination. So, there's no way that you can tell me that your way is right and my way is wrong. Why? Because if the ultimate purpose is to arrive at the destination, then it doesn't matter how I go about it. If I arrive at the turnpike, you go on the I-95, we still have technically the same purpose. Same concept here. Same concept here. Where sometimes you're going to see the Chachamim arrive at a slightly different truth that's contrary to a different Chacham. And in many cases, they'll say that, yes, I have a different opinion, but you could actually hold by his opinion also. Because his opinion is also valid, and he arrived to that opinion through a kosher strategy. But then sometimes you're going to see that, yes, this Chacham said such and such, but he's wrong. So don't hold by him. So it all depends. Sometimes they accept each other's opinion, sometimes they reject it. Many times the rejections have to do with minagim, with customs. Because sometimes the origination of customs many times are false. If you research them long enough, you'll see that they're falsehood. This is complete nonsense. One example is this red string that became popular over the last decade or so. There's no source for it whatsoever from the Torah. It actually stems from idolatry. The Hindus use it and other false religions use it. But people that are ignorant of the Torah think that maybe this red string is like a quick free ticket to a blessing. It just doesn't work that way.